Welcome to What's the Dish? I'm Chef Steve Weiss. We're going to talk about sides and sides in our holiday meals. I have a great dish here. It's mac and cheese, but it's not just any type of mac and cheese. It's mac and cheese that has a heat to it and also has a nice freshness to it. And it's going to have great arugula. You can even put spinach in it if you'd like. If you'd like to put some protein like some sort of meat, chicken, beef, pork, anything you'd like, it really fits well with this. So let's get started. What we're going to need in our pan right now is we're going to need about 4 tablespoons of butter, and we're going to melt that butter up. And the best thing to do is when you're making this particular dish, you need to add butter and you need to add flour. Now together, butter and flour, if you cook it, it's called a roux, R-O-U-X, okay? But if you don't cook the butter in the roux and you just take soft butter and flour and put it together, it's typically called a beurre manier. And both can be used as a thickening agent when you try to get things a little bit more viscous. Okay, you want to have it cling to the pasta. Now we're going to add a lot of cheese to this, but even so, we still need to have a little bit more of a binder in it. Okay, so we're going to melt this down. Heat it up. You can see how the butter is melting. Now this butter is at room temperature, so we just have to get our pan up to a certain temperature and it will start melting. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. So you have 4 tablespoons of butter, and that butter, it could be oil as long as it's some sort of fat. It could be pork fat, it could be chicken fat, it could be oil, it could be butter, but butter is always better, okay? We're going to put a little, so now we're going to melt that. We're going to add our flour to it right now, and we're just going to mix it together. We want that butter and that flour to be incorporated, and it's going to turn into a paste. We want it to turn into a paste. So right now, actually, what we've created is a roux. We've actually created a roux at this point. And it's cooked, okay? So if it was a beurre manier, it wouldn't be cooked, but this is cooked. Okay, it's starting to bubble a little bit. So now, at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add about a cup to a cup and a half of cream. All right, cup to a cup and a half of cream, and I'm going to mix that up and try to dissolve all those lumps that we have in there, make it nice and smooth and creamy. And we're going to bring that up to a boil as well. So now at this point we have a nice thickened cream with our roux, and we're going to add our chicken stock and our wine. Chicken stock and wine, and we're going to mix that up. And that roux is going to help to thicken this after it comes to a boil. Starches thicken when they come to a boil. No matter if it's cornstarch, arrowroot, roux, beurre manier, doesn't matter. It's got to come to a boil to come to its full thickening ability. Make sure you go around the outside edge. And right now at this point we're just waiting for it to come up to that nice boil. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and just add a little bit of salt to it. A little salt. You can add white pepper. Because it's a white sauce, you can add white pepper, but it's okay to use dark pepper. And we're also going to add some nutmeg. Nutmeg in cream dishes really help to bring out the flavors that you need, especially in this dish. That's why we're kicking it up even more. Again, nutmeg, when you put nutmeg in this, it's actually going to make it smell and taste so much better. So the sauce is starting to thicken up as it heats. It's starting to steam now. And once it starts to steam, it'll start to thicken, and it's starting to come to a boil right now. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add about 2 nice teaspoons of garlic. And we don't have to cook the garlic. We just want to warm the garlic through. We don't want it to be a little bit bitter. We want it to have a nice garlicky aftertaste. So these are really garlicky mac and cheese with heat. It's really good. Good stuff. So you can see that our cream is starting to thicken. It's a nice sauce. This could easily be put over chicken or any sort of vegetables, like broccoli would be great at this point. But now what we're going to do is we're going to add some We're going to turn our heat off because now it's come to a boil. We're going to turn our heat off and we're going to add our cheese off heat. Add our cheese off heat. So we're going to probably put a half a cup of some nice shredded Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. And then we're going to add a whole cup of nice pepper jack. And there are some cheeses out there that have ancho chilies in it. Very, very good as well. Okay. You can even add ones that have cranberries in it, especially around the holidays. It'd be really nice too. So we're going to mix this up. So what we're doing is we're melting the cheese. We're just using the residual heat that's in that sauce to melt that cheese in. If you think it needs more cheese, you can always do that. I'm going to put the heater on a little bit. I want to bring it up to a little bit of a boil, just a touch, but not a lot. Okay, you can see it's nice and saucy. It smells delicious. Now also think about maybe even adding a salsa to this. If you add like a Mexican salsa to this, you're kicking it up even more. Okay, I like this, but I'm going to add more cheese to it. So we're going to finish up our pepper jack cheese. And finally, well, almost finally, we're going to add our pasta. And the pasta could be pretty much anything. It doesn't necessarily need to be these. These are just curls. They're called curls or swirls. There's really no name for it, spirals. But you could use rotinis, anything you want. Shells work really well with this as well. So we're going to take our pasta. We're going to heat it through. I'm going to turn the heater off. We're going to have that nice pasta work its way into there. And then we're going to heat it. Now the starch from the pasta is going to help to thicken this up as well. And as it cools, you can see look how stringy it's starting to get already. Nice and stringy. And then at the very end, what I always like to do is I like to add a little bit more butter. This is not a very healthy dish, but it is a very good tasting dish. Add some butter off heat and just turn it in until it's nice and melted. You can see me stirring it here. And lastly, you want to add your arugula, or you can add your spinach. So arugula and spinach can be added. And that's the last thing you want to put in. And you just want to have it off heat and then take this, and it's really nice and colorful. And that arugula is going to give you a nice bite, a citrusy bite with the heat. Very, very good tasting dish.